Hello and welcome to another episode of FEA's My Facility podcast, where we dive into the latest innovations, trends, and solutions in facilities planning and management. We will bring you conversations with industry experts, innovators, and thought leaders to help you navigate the challenges and opportunities in managing your facilities. At FEA, we're committed to building excellence where we live, work, and play. So if you're looking to stay ahead of the curve and improve your asset management strategy or facility financial planning, you're in the right place. So let's jump in and unlock the secrets to smarter facility planning in today's episode.
Welcome to this edition of my facility podcast. Today we are joined by Daniel Besmer, a project engineer with FEA who is based in our Lakewood, Colorado office. Good afternoon, Daniel. How have
Good
you been? How are
afternoon.
you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Little break
Well,
from the travel right now, but back at it next week.
I will start actually with asking you a couple of questions about your background. How did you find your way into engineering and facility condition assessments?
So it got to go back quite a long ways. My dad is a professional engineer, and he got hurt on the job when I was very young. Um, but with that came came a blessing, came a lot of drawbacks as well. But the blessing was, he got injured on the job. He couldn't work full time. So him, my grandfather, and myself, and I include myself in there kind of tangentially, but we all kind of built a cabin in the mountains.
Oh wow. Yeah,
And
you did mention that. I remember.
yeah, so that kind of got me into kind of an engineering mindset, even when I was real young,
Oh
doing
wow.
construction projects. And I still spend lots of time down there to this day. So it's kind of like a little retreat, but with that has came an engineering mindset, even from when I was real young. So I kind of knew even in high school, wanted to go into engineering. I went to Colorado State University, got my got a Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering from them, and the how I came to work for FEA is kind of a really almost funny story, and shows, I don't know if I want to call it divine providence or what, but every fall, every spring at CSU they do a career fair,
Hmm.
and there's 150 different businesses, that they're all looking for different employees, internships, full-time employment, kind of the gambit. And I was wandering around and I was looking for my first summer internship kind of after my junior year, and I was going through the list and I realized, oh, I didn't go visit this one booth. They said that they're looking for an intern.
That is wild.
And I was basically already out in the parking lot, and I was like, I
I'm
really
going
should go
back.
back. I should really go back. I really, really, really didn't want to, but I was like, I need to.
Wow.
And I went back and introduced myself and got an intern, or got a actually a interview. And it was basically the next, I think it was next day, 2 days later, I got an interview with a couple people from FEA, and they liked me enough. I got a summer internship, and the summer internship went well enough that it turned into a winter internship over the holiday break. And during that time, I got an offer to come work for FEA full time after I graduated.
And I've heard
Yeah,
that you are pursuing your master's right now at
yeah,
college.
yeah. I'm going to, it's University of Oklahoma, so I'm a boomer sooner, I guess you could call it, and
Yeah.
going for my master's in structural engineering. So I have
Beautiful.
about another year left, and then that'll be something else.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, Daniel. My next question is, can you tell us a little bit about what you actually do in the field? I mean, when you show up in the site.
So during a field visit, it's a lot of looking for issues and talking with people, and the people that are actually there on site every single day about issues that they're having, because they're there, they know they know, hey, if it gets too cold, this one particular area of the building doesn't get enough heat, or vice versa. Middle of summertime, there's this series of rooms that's always way too hot. And
Right.
that kind of information can really provide a lot of insights into what's going on with the building.
Interesting.
There's certain things that are easy enough to pull up and see, oh, there's a broken window. That's obvious. But it's having those conversations about what's actually happening at a building that really provides a lot of insights. And then with that, it's walking around looking for the obvious issues and trying to find issues too. Is it's not necessarily clients like to hide things, but I like going everywhere I can in a building because there's this one particular storage closet that they never go into, but has a massive water leak. And they don't go
Okay.
in there because they know there's a massive water leak, which is
Mm,
why I like poking everywhere I can. If the door's unlocked or I have someone that can unlock it for me, I always like poking my head in everywhere I can.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned something interesting. You said obvious issues. What about the issues that are not obvious or the client is not aware of, if that makes sense?
And again, that's part of the reason I like going kind of everywhere I can, because I can't tell you. Well, so a couple weeks ago, I was out in the field and I was walking around with a couple site supervisors at this location, and I could tell, they're more office related functions is kind of their
Mm,
day-to-day job. But getting out, walking this site, it was very interesting because they're like, man, there's a bunch of trash out here that I need to get the guys out here to pick up, or that's where that tool is. Someone was out, messing with the
yep,
valve, and we're
yep.
out walking around, and it's like that's where that pipe wrench went. It's like, well, glad I could help you guys find it. So, but
Wow.
with that, some of the non-obvious issues, it's going into those spaces that people don't go into very often. And it's also looking at things with, in with a certain mindset. It's not just looking for, the little things that can become big, but not just the big things that are known issues, but it's the little things that right now aren't an issue, but in 5 or 10 years, hey, this thing could actually become a bigger issue than you actually want to even think about.
Very
So
interesting.
that's kind of one thing that I don't find too often, but I have found some things in my career where it's like this isn't an
Surprising.
issue today, but give it 5 or 10 years, and this is going to become a bigger issue.
So basically, the client might not know about that issue until you point that issue, which is really
Yep.
interesting. Because I can tell some RFPs, for example, the scope of these RFPs, FCR RFPs, don't cover all of the scope. And clients will firms will price these projects and submit their proposals and get the project, but then they find extra scope that needs work, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's always, no
Anything
matter
happened with you
how,
like this?
all the time. I mean,
Okay.
I've been out places and doing follow-up work. There's so many places we go out and we'll do a condition assessment for.
Hmm.
Right. I'm working with a client right now. We went out, we did a whole bunch of condition assessments, and their buildings were in relatively good condition. But
Right.
the problem was those buildings weren't, they had reached capacity of those buildings,
Mm,
and they were looking to expand. So it's like so they brought us back on, and now we're doing another project with them to fully help tell the story about what's going on in this location, because it's not just, hey, all your buildings are in relatively good shape, but it's you now have people lining up outside when they used to be able to line up inside for this
right, right.
attraction.
Yep.
And so helping them tell that story of, hey, the condition is fine, but now we've reached capacity, we want to expand, but they don't make a building stretcher. No matter how much
Hmm.
we'd love to be able to go in and just make a building bigger easily, there's a lot that goes into expansion. And the clients came to us and they're like, hey, how much would it cost us to expand our operations here? What would it cost us? That way we can then look at the return on investment. Hey, instead of selling 1 million tickets next year, now we can sell 1.5 million. So how long would it take us to pay off this construction project?
Interesting. Really good to know. But have you ever walked into a building and you expected something, but then you found out something different? You discovered something completely different, I would say.
There's been a few places. I mean, that most of the time you walk in and you expect a certain level of maintenance in a building, just based off of even the exterior and kind of where you're at. But clients definitely start looking for someone like FEA to come in and help when they know they're overwhelmed and they know they have issues, and they're looking for help. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's,
yeah.
I'll say that that's one of the biggest joys I have in my
That's
job
perfect. Yep.
is looking for these issues and being able to help these people tell the story about what's going on with their buildings. Because maintaining a building sounds easy, but
Yep.
as soon
Yep.
as you
Yep.
start owning 20, 30, even up to 1,000 buildings, 2,000 buildings, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of money
Absolutely.
to
Yep.
maintain those buildings.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, speaking of joy, my next question is about something that really um, stuck with you during your assessments. I don't know, maybe your collaboration with the clients, or maybe your collaboration with the public, during these site visits or field assessments. Anything that really stuck with you out of these projects?
The main thing that always sticks with me is I'll say just how you know the United States, and that's where I do most of my work. But everyone thinks, oh, the United States, it's all the same no matter where you go.
No, absolutely
But
not.
just the variety of buildings that I come across, having worked, I mean, it's coast to coast and everywhere in between. It's every single place has similarities, but then they also have their unique issues. And that's part of what makes the job fun. It's
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
wouldn't, part of what I've done is some fall protection work. And in the Denver area, there's not really a lot of things that like living up on the roof. I was
Mm.
doing some fall protection in Florida, and the
Hmm.
wasp absolutely
Oh my
loved the roof.
God.
So that was something we had to be
Careful. Yep.
careful with and work
Hmm.
around. Was we're trying to be up on the roof, trying to get some jobs done, and the wasps were just a
That is
menace.
crazy. Yep, yep.
So
Especially Florida. I mean, I remember I was in Florida last year, and I remember I went to the Everglades National Park, and
mhm.
one of the national park rangers, he was like, "Did you have bug spray?" I was like, "I do." He looked at the bug spray bottle I had. He was like, "This is not good." So he basically he sold me an expensive one, and he was like, "This is strong. You gotta spray all of your body, and hopefully nothing will attack you." And I swear to God, I sprayed my like every single inch of my body, and I went in. I got stung several times. It
Yep.
is wild out there. It is
Yep.
unbelievable. I never experienced something like that. I was sick for like 6 hours after I got back, but it is a wild experience. So I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. Um, but you just mentioned that you work within the United States most of your time. What kind of organizations do you typically work with?
It's the full gambit. I've worked for, big, federal government agencies, state government agencies. but even down to, I'll say, kind of private real estate holding companies.
Mm,
There was actually a residential building in Colorado, and they wanted a condition assessment on this this residence. And I say residence, it was a very wealthy person's home in
wow.
the mountains of Colorado. And they had the money that they wanted to
Of
understand,
course.
hey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is, I've had this house for 15, 20 years now. what does what do I need to be planning for as the owner of this home?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to be planning for upkeep of this property? And it was, more of I'll call it a vacation home for them, but they still wanted to understand, I have boilers in the basement that I
Right,
need to
right, right, right.
replace, and I have, HVAC systems, and just everything that goes along with a building in general.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's the full gambit.
Yep,
It's all the
yep.
way from that one building, you know, commercial residential building, all the way up to large portfolios of buildings,
Wow.
and everywhere in between. And you see there's different issues at the different levels. The wealthy person, they weren't so much concerned with having the money set aside
Right,
to
right,
do
right.
these replacements. What they were more concerned with was, hey, like, I don't want my boiler going out in the middle of winter, and
Mm,
now I need an emergency replacement, and I can't
right.
utilize
Mm-hmm.
my home when I
Absolutely.
want
Yep.
to. And then you have the other end of, large state agencies, and even federal agencies, where they have to fight for every single dollar they get. And that's
Wow.
so they want to understand, hey, this is how much money I need to be planning for
Interesting.
replacing and maintenance, not just this year, but looking out 5, 10,
Wow. They have a set
15, 20
budget. Yeah.
years. Yeah. So helping, and then if, with that too, is helping them tell the story of the, state legislatures, and
Absolutely.
I mean, even federal legislatures, to say, hey, like, we need more money. And so
Hmm.
it's the full gambit, and it's,
I
again,
mean,
it's
good
just
for
helping
you.
tell
This
that
is, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm sure that
this.
will give you a lot of experience. My next question, Daniel, when you finish a project, I mean, you already touched base on that, but when you finish a project, what does success look like to you? When do you feel like you achieved what the client wanted us to achieve, basically?
So what I'll say, the biggest metric of success I have in a project is how long the information we collected, and then the reporting that we generated, how long does that get utilized?
Mm,
And does the client come back to us for, I'll say, helping them update, because it's
yeah,
very easy for a client to go through and do an FCA effort, but that information can become stale very, very quick. So,
mm,
seeing that, the client is doing some upkeep on their data is kind of one metric of success. So
right,
it's not even just like, FEA, we can give a client everything they need to be successful, but at the end of the day, they do have to take some of what we've generated, and then run with it and keep it up to date. But
absolutely.
with that too, it can also be, hey, FEA, we need you to come in and help update our information on a yearly basis. And when we do
Mm,
those updates like that, it's not necessarily, hey, we don't have to go back out and look at every single building again, but it can be, sitting down, having a conversation, and being like, oh yeah, you called out the roof on this building, 2 years ago when you did the assessment. We actually just completed the replacement, and now we want you to update the information for us. And so that is a metric of a successful project that I see most often. And
absolutely.
if
Yep.
we go out, we can go out, we can spend all kinds of time and effort, but if the information becomes stale and isn't utilized, then to me, that's like the one of the biggest letdowns at the end of a
Interesting.
project.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Is,
absolutely.
and it's understandable why it happens, and there's reasons why that happens. But I've in my projects that I'm responsible for, I really try to circle back, send an email, check in with the client, and keep in touch and make sure that they know, hey, like the project's done, and but I still care, and I still want to see you guys be successful.
Fantastic. Appreciate that, Daniel. My last question is, if you were to give one piece of advice to both the clients or the facility managers, I would say, what would that piece of advice be?
Is when you bring in a consultant, like FEA,
Yeah.
don't think we're there to get you in trouble. Like I think people have a tendency to try and maybe hide some things that are going wrong with their buildings. And they need to understand that we are not there to be adversarial. I
Mm,
love seeing things going wrong with buildings because that makes my report better. And I love hearing that, hey, like this boiler is going down on a weekly basis. I'm having a hard time with the maintenance on it. I can't get parts for it. You know, I love hearing those types of things because
okay.
that just makes my reporting that much better.
Absolutely.
Um, and we're not there to get them in trouble. We are only there to help. Like
Hmm.
we are, people hear assessment and they have a tendency to get worried because they have, I'll say, some trauma maybe from when they were kids, and they had assessments and tests, and when they did bad on them,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they,
yeah.
they got in trouble.
Right.
Where that is not where we're coming from. We are only there to help, and if we
Beautiful.
see those issues, we can help tell the story better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the advice, Daniel, and thank you for
Yes.
being with us today. And hopefully, we will have another podcast. So, thank you so much again, and I appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.